With the Oscar nominees announced this week on the 22nd of January, award season is now fully underway, and we are here to share it with you. We are the Lorehounds. Come for the banter, stay for the fun facts and stats. I'm Elysia.
And I'm David, and this is our reaction podcast for the 2026 Oscar nominations and a preview of coverage that Elysia, this your third season of covering the Oscars, yeah? And you've got a full slate of activities and projects and podcasts going on. Pretty exciting. So this podcast, we're going to do our traditional, you and I, sort of chewing through the nominations, the primary nominations. You'll explain a little bit more of that later. And then everyone can figure out and hear what you've got planned for the full coverage.
Yes, stick around until the end for a preview of what other episodes are coming. But in this episode, the format's going to be, we're going to start by looking at the headlines from the nominations.
Nice.
We're going to preview the Best Picture nominees. Now, this is not going to be a deep dive on these, very light conversation, because we will be talking about these, of course, in all of the breakdowns of the different categories. And then you and I will get back together at the very end after the awards themselves to look back on the awards. And also we'll do our now traditional rankings of the 10 Best Picture nominees. So we'll go a little bit more in depth in the conversation there.
Yeah, I think I had to revise my 2025. I think I had some regrets about Conclave. I think I've watched it twice now since then, and I really find it to be a fascinating and really enjoyable movie. So I'm really looking forward to see what shakes out for this year, because it's a pretty good slate, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great year for movies, and that has translated into the nominees. So the way we're going to do this today is we're going to, look at the headline, as I said, look at the Best Picture nominees, and then we're going to talk about some more surprises and fun facts in the nominations and do a quick look at the acting categories. That's going to get its whole separate episode toward the end of the coverage. And today, our policy is no spoilers discussed, not for this year's films anyway. And of course, warnings if any other spoilers come up for any reason.
But we'll do our best to not spoil anything for sure.
Yeah, especially for this year's nominated films. But what are your overall thoughts at the top of reacting to the nominations?
I think it's a pretty good list. I think there were the expecteds are in there, the things that you thought were going to definitely get nominated. And then there's a couple of like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, well, I wonder why that made it or what have you. And knowing that there's a few other films out there that maybe could have. So it's I think it's a nice balance. I think it's interesting in the light of the whole issue of what companies are bidding to buy what other companies, and especially with this idea that
and what companies got zero.
Yes, exactly. What companies got is zero, and how that reflects in their market position relative to the future of movies. Because we really are on this interesting cusp. There was a newspaper article, and what's interesting is that we still, in my town, my little town, in our little region, we still have at least 2 printed newspapers that are, they're quite small. They don't have, huge amounts of pages. One is a weekly, and I think one's a daily, and then there's a couple of other ones around. Anyway, there was an article in the newspaper, the weekly newspaper, the other day about our local movie theater, which is also a cultural arts center stage thing. It's got this historic building that has a number of other commercial properties in it, a hotel and a restaurant bar and some other things. And they're really struggling with the movie side of their business for the stage performances, the choir performances, the, not so much the plays, but just other things where people want to gather and have a big presentation or a big auditorium experience. Their movie part is suffering a little bit. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, yeah, as a person who grew up going to the movies and really enjoying the movies and enjoys movies as part of my cultural life, and activities, but also as a parent, you know, if you put out a 2-hour movie or a, you know, 2.5 hour movie, that's 3 to 3.5 hours of my time that I have to go outside of
Right.
my home
Right.
to sit in an uncomfortable chair with one
Well,
of
that can be fixed. Yeah.
well, this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it takes money for that, but
Right.
they've got 3 screens. One is not much better than a projector on
Mm,
you know, Amazon purchase screen. It's not that bad. And then another one where the seats are not as comfortable and the screen isn't great. And then we have the main theater, which is huge, you know, with this sort of weird neoclassical, you know, zodiac things and Grecian urns and whatnot. And it's a fun space. It's a huge screen. They just upgraded their sound system. So that's a nice experience. But just getting out of the house for 3 to 4 hours of my time to go watch a suboptimal thing, it's a hard ask. It's and our
mm,
prices are fine. Like the ticket prices are very reasonable. I think it's like $10 or something. Um, but it's just hard to get to the movies these days. And but I don't want movies to go away. I don't want that cultural experience to dissipate. And so when we're talking about Netflix buying,
mm.
you know, another studio and what their attitude towards that is, I think it's really interesting. And so to have such a strong year for Oscars and, you know, films and films that were in the theaters, I think it's just really interesting to as a marker of where we
Right.
are in the industry and where we might be going. And you know, can we hold out some hope that in theater experiences can adapt to the marketplace and figure out what their position is and what their place is to be able to continue to offer that cultural experience. You know, we talk about that loneliness epidemic and people on their phones and their screens. And going out to movies has always been a place where society, people can gather
Right.
and have a shared experience. And I don't want that
For
to go
better or
away.
worse. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I say for better or worse just because the last film I saw in the theater was Hamnet. And there was a group of teenage girls in our theater. I'm not sure if they were on like space cakes or just teenagers,
Space cakes.
but they did not expect Hamnet to be what it was. I don't know if they were there for Paul Mescal or what, but they were giggling the entire time. And this is not a giggling movie.
Right.
And then eventually they just filed out when it started to like get serious.
Good choice. They made a good
With
choice.
every pair of eyes in the theater on them walking out the
Right.
door and them
Yeah.
going, shh, shh. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's still fun. I'll always remember that about when I think about Begonia. I mean, sorry, Hamnet.
Right. And I think that's an important aspect, which is how do we comport ourselves in these spaces and generational, you know, things like, oh, the kids these days have no manners, you know, and all of that sort
Hmm.
of tension. But it is I think it's important. You know, I'm glad that they figured out that maybe we shouldn't stick around and they bailed. That's
Yeah,
good
like
judgment.
not the movie for them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on space cakes.
Mhm. Well, I
So
don't know. This is me
I
just
know,
like, yeah.
speculating.
Why are they giggling at like the most
Right,
innocuous sex scene I've ever seen? You know,
right, right.
like,
Fair enough. But
yeah.
anyway, I think to sum it all up, I think it's been an interesting year, and we can talk about it about what I've seen and what I haven't seen,
Hmm.
and I'm looking forward to rounding out my best picture 10 list this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel pretty good about it overall. I
Yeah.
think it's a solid experience
Great.
expectation. You got to have a special present because the nominations came out,
Came
and
on my birthday. Yeah.
yes. And how was that for a birthday present? Did you have what's your hot takes on the nominations so
Yeah,
far?
it was fun because I had already tried to minimize my work on that just to take some time off from birthday. So I ended up I finished my work by the announcements were 2:30 p.m. my time. And then I got to spend the rest of the day analyzing it all with the nerds and stuff. And
Fun.
yeah, I was very well. We'll talk about some things I was very excited about in there, and some things that I was a bit disappointed about, but not necessarily surprised by. Um,
Sure.
Anecdotally, your conversation about the theaters. Now, I'm in a very different situation. I live in the largest city in the Netherlands, and my preferred movie theaters are the ones in the center of the city. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to movie theaters, I notice over this past year, they've been a lot more crowded again.
Interesting.
The most crowded I've seen them since before the pandemic. And it's
Okay.
starting to become a thing with certain movies. Like I remember they underestimated Sinners when it came out. And it kept being sold out over and over because they weren't putting it in the biggest things. And then eventually they were like, oh, I guess this is one of the biggest movies of the year and we should expand
Right.
it.
Maybe we should accommodate that. Yeah, exactly. That's interesting. Maybe there's a realization that gathering together in person and having shared personal experience like that has a value, or people are kind of missing being together, because
Yeah.
there is a kind of emptiness ultimately at the end of your phone. You're kind of getting that dopamine hit as you're scrolling and scrolling, but ultimately it's kind of an empty experience. And then after a while, you see the same patterns and the same creators or the same news stories just sort of going over and over again. And there's nothing new ultimately down that road. And it may be fun and you catch up a little bit, but then you put your phone away and you go outside. You call up
Yeah.
your friends, you go to coffee, you go see a movie together or something like that. Maybe there's hope for us yet.
Well, so to pick up on what you were saying about the companies, the distributors are what we pay attention to for the Oscars. So these are not necessarily the ones who first made the movie, and in many cases they are. Like,
So
we'll talk about Warner Brothers a lot today, and in that
right.
case, they
It's
definitely
so
made the movies.
complex. Whose
Yeah,
movie is it?
yeah. So, but we talk about like the distributors. For example, we'll talk. The name Neon will come up a lot, and they tend to buy already completed movies, but they still get the credit at the Oscars for their smart investments. But yeah, just to you, since you set that up, just as Warner Brothers, the company at the buying, at the being bought end of one of the most talked about situations in Hollywood, they ran away with the number of nominations.
Incredible.
They have 30 nominations in total this year, and that's if you don't count one nomination for HBO documentary films, which apparently is a separate entity. Fine. And I'm also confused because there's at least two HBO docs nominated this year. But anyway, 30 to 31 nominations for Warner Brothers. For those who seek to buy Warner Brothers right now, Paramount walking in with a whopping zero.
Complete whiff.
Netflix, Netflix 18. But in terms of Netflix and the whole theater question, they are feeling the pressure a lot. They are releasing their Oscar nominees in many theaters again right now because they realize, oh, money is fun. Like, let's do that. But I would say another thing that's interesting for Netflix, it did not affect their eligibility for the Oscars, but K-pop Demon Hunters was deemed ineligible for the BAFTAs because they did not follow the theater release rules in Britain for that. And
Interesting.
Netflix was like, no, no, please give us an exception. And the BAFTAs are like, no, put your movies in theaters, bitch.
Well, and that's the thing is the who has leverage and where are the markets, and we see actors and directors and other professional bodies trying to leverage their power. And I think there was a big statement out about AI and the use of filmmaking, where like 700 actors or something signed something or something. And so we can see the different parts of the market trying to react and pressure each other, and I think that's kind of healthy, right? In terms of how we negotiate out what and where, because businesses are going to want a business, right? And like you said,
Hmm.
money is fun, and if there's money in the theaters, then why not? So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. But okay, so to complete the list of multi-nominee distributors, Neon tied Netflix for 18. Focus Features follows with 13. A24 got 11 nominations. Apple got 6 nominations. Disney only got 4. For Disney, that's really not much.
Okay.
Uh, G Kids, which is a favorite Japanese distributor, a distributor of Japanese films, got two. Sony Pictures Classic got two, and those are the multi-nominee distributors.
Can I ask you a quick question? Is that 30 nominations for Warner Brothers across the history, and I know it's a complex history, but is that an unheard of thing, or is that something that we've seen before, where one particular studio or distributor sort of runs away with a clear majority of the nominations, or is that? I'm sure
so
there's
it's tying a record that was set in 2005 by Warner Brothers.
Okay, there you go. So it's kind of a peak. It's a little bit of a high
Yeah.
for.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's a little bit more distributed, you'd say.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can see there are always favorites, and then the
Sure.
favorites, as we can see, are shifting. Neon and A24 have been rising. Disney, obviously, Paramount's not here. Disney only has four. So power shifts around. And I do notice that companies seem to be rewarded with nominations this year who took risks.
Okay.
So Warner Brothers, they both, when Sinners and when One Battle After Another came out, there was all this press about like, oh, they gave too good of deals and they aren't going to make their money back and da 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 da. And these are too risky of movies. And then guess what?
Right.
Two
Right.
films of the year. So yeah, I would say
Is
there's. Go ahead.
you'll go ahead, complete your thought. I was going to ask a follow
No,
up
go for it.
question. For A24 with 11 and Apple with 6, are those good numbers for those studio distributor things? Are they coming up, or is that sort of their average that they've been hitting recently? It makes me think that Apple is starting to move in a little stronger there. I think for me, like, and again, I'm not an industry watcher like you are as much, but A24 with 11, that seems solid. That seems good for
Yeah.
A24 because they're not a big company, but they're a
Um,
powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean, A24 does well at the Oscars in general. I would say that's a solid number. Neon
Okay.
is really the one that's been skyrocketing up, and they
I've
have
never heard of
developed.
them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we talked about them. I bring them up during Oscars every year as the studio to watch,
Sure,
and
I've probably heard of them, but they're not,
yeah,
the name hasn't stuck in my head, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but they have become especially known for their international stable of movies, which
Okay.
does them well at the Oscars. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But we've got 50 films in total nominated this year, which is on the lower end of variety. Last year we also had 50, but if you look at the years before that, it was 53, 54, 53, 56, 53, going back to 2020. So this is on the lower end, which just means you'll notice it's a lot of the same movies getting nominations over and over and over again.
Oh, I see. Different film, not the total
Mm-hmm.
number of awards being given out,
Right.
but the actual number of titles and their
Mm-hmm.
distribution. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, that's
Right.
interesting. It's a little concentration, and well, when you've got two big hitters sucking up
Right.
a lot of the oxygen, that
Right.
makes sense.
So, as expected, Sinners with 16 nominations and One Battle After Another with 13 nominations take the lead. We fully expected going in that they would take the lead, but this is the first year that two films have gotten more than 13 nominations in the same year.
So other films have gotten big nominations, but not two of them at the same time crossing that
Right.
threshold. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there
Yeah.
you go. That's why we can see that number being a little bit smaller in terms of 50 films. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to set the stage, there's a total of 24 categories this year. Um, and these two films were each eligible for 17 of them because
Interesting.
they're not eligible for the three shorts categories, the animated category, the doc category, the international category, and of course they're only eligible for one screenplay category each. Luckily, two different uh, One Battle After Another is adapted, Sinners is original, so they're not
Right.
going head to head there. And this does include these 17 categories they're eligible for, includes the new casting category. So
Right. It's kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about this in years past, but there's a real Moneyball aspect to to the
Mhm.
Oscar thing, and in terms of how you interpret stats and the collection of stats and looking at
Mhm.
things over history. It's kind of fun. Like, yeah, I can see why the folks who get into this can really I'm not interested in sports or,
Mm-hmm.
something like this. This is kind of sports for movie and TV nerds, right?
Right, exactly,
Fun.
exactly. And the most exciting news, you've probably heard it somewhere already, but Sinners set a new record. They
Woohoo.
of the 17 categories, they got nominated for all except for lead actress, which to be fair, yeah, this movie great representation of women in front of and especially behind the camera, but they don't have a lead actress in this film. It's about two
Two
brothers and
guys. Yeah,
their
two brothers.
male cousin. Yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense.
yeah. And so, but this is to compare, so 16 for Sinners. The previous record was 14, which has been held since 1950.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and it's been matched since 1950. So
Okay.
1950 was All About Eve. It was matched by Titanic in 1997 and La La Land in 2016. But
Interesting.
so Sinners not only got the new category, but one more beyond that. So this is considered absolutely smashing that record, and this is something that will likely stand for decades. So
Is there just a little bit of what's I'm sure there's some multi-hyphenate word to explain this feeling, but that sort of I told you so kind of harumph of all the people who were naysaying Sinners and going poo-pooing it a little bit, and here it is just dominating, breaking
well, yeah,
records.
we'll
So
see. Yeah, because there's still people naysaying. Even fans of Sinners are like, "Oh, well, great, it got a record, but I only care if it wins." I'm like, let's celebrate this. Let's take this victory lap first. All right.
exactly. Because what happens, right? There's the inevitable ripples of the 10 best are going to get second and third looks or first looks by a lot of people, right? So it sort of
Hmm.
reactivates the market around the title and
Right.
gets re-released or people seeking it out for streaming or whatever. So it just continues to propel the title forward.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of people still consider one battle after another the favorite to win.
Mm,
And again, received 13 nominations, which in any other year would be the most.
right.
This is, though, the third year in a row a film has received 13 nominations, which is a new record. But the most Oscars won by a single film ever is 11 wins. And that's happened from three films: Ben-Hur in 1959, Titanic again in 1997, and Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King in 2003. That was nominated in 11 categories. So that's the record for the biggest sweep because it
Okay.
won every award that it was nominated for. So that's a stat to keep in mind as we get to the Oscars themselves. 11 is the
Is the
number to
magic number.
beat. But if Sinners doesn't beat 11, chances are it won't, but it doesn't diminish at all this achievement. And I
Right.
still hope it
Right.
wins Best Picture regardless, but we'll see.
And 16 is three above the high water mark, right? So that's really significant.
Yeah, two.
I
Yeah, yeah.
we're okay. Yeah, math. I can do math in the morning. Question for you, historically question: Did you are you a fan of the movie Titanic?
Yeah, that came out when I was in high school, I guess.
Yeah, so I would say that there's a nostalgia pull for you, right,
Sure.
on it.
It's not something like that I've rewatched recently or anything, but I do remember going to see it several times in the theater while it was out. Actually, the first time I went, I was just recovering from mono and I didn't bring tissues, and that was a mistake.
Horrible experience. Yeah. Yeah, I was never a fan of that movie. I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
never liked it, and yet it's such an Oscar dominating film. So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Near, far, David hates you wherever you are.
When I finally saw it, I think I saw it at a matinee with I think I was alone, and then somebody came in and then left at some point, and then I was alone again in the movie, and I was just like, I debated walking out because I was just not
Mhm.
enjoying it. But anyway,
Okay.
I don't want to yuck other people's young. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about my personal appreciation and
Okay.
experience.
But you
So
do like Return of the King, the biggest sweep in record.
right, I don't mind that one. Yeah, no,
You don't
that
mind
one's
it?
just okay.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm being
I
silly.
was like, "What?" I rescind our intro music.
That's right.
It's not even mine to rescind, but I rescinded on John's behalf.
We should do. It'd be fun to do some other big picture. Maybe throw in future watches, like, go through
The
one
historic, yeah.
yeah, and then sort of what won, however many
Right,
years ago, and just compare it. It'd be interesting because,
right.
like, Ben-Hur, I haven't seen in years.
I know, that's a
So
great one.
anyway,
But yeah, for this year, aside from those two historic nominations for those two films, the other multi nominees this year we have three films that got 9 nominations each, so that's a lot. Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, and Sentimental Value.
mm-hmm.
Hamnet got 8 nominations, and the films that got 4 nominations each, rounding out the Best Picture 10, are Begonia, F1, The Secret Agent, and Train Dreams. And then there were 5 films that got 2 nominations outside of the Best Picture category, and that is Avatar Fire and Ash, Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, K-Pop Demon Hunters, and Sarat. So,
Cool.
and of course, there's that new category casting this year, which this is the first new category added since 2001 when the animated feature was added, which
Oh, okay.
makes it a 24-year gap, which is the longest gap in Academy history without an
For a new
award being
edition.
nominated.
Hmm.
hmm
Okay.
But the next gap's going to be super short because we already know the next new category is coming at the 2028 Oscars for stunt design.
Very stunt design. Interesting. Not doing the stunts, but designing the stunt. Does that
Yeah.
include the whole umbrella of the, so like,
I
if you win, the stunt coordinators and the
mhm.
actor who did it and all of
It
that
would
stuff,
be
like
the
it's a,
stunt coordinators who get the award.
okay, got it. Not
Yeah.
the stunt
Not the stunt performers, which is
right.
something obviously people would also like to see and you see rewarded other places. But
Yeah, I can
in
see it,
this
like,
case,
because when
yeah.
they do like a costume or something like that, there's a whole crowd of people who go up because there's a whole bunch of people involved. It's not a singular.
Well, there is for costumes. There are usually a singular winner. Like last year was Paul Tazewell for Wicked for Good, which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry for Wicked Part One, Wicked for Good. We won't be talking about today, except to talk about how
Do you
upset
have a
everyone is. It whiffed.
Have you planned a segment on the what are they, snubs, or just the
Yes,
expected
we're going
versus
to talk
not?
about we're going to talk about some snubs, yeah.
Okay,
But on the plus
not
side,
not on this pod though. On another
we
episode.
we're going to talk a little bit about some snubs on
Okay,
this pod
okay,
at the end. But what did do well this year is horror had a banger year. We've
nice.
been seeing that all year. That prestige horror. This has been a year for that, and we see it reflected. If you remember last year, I was excited about 2 horror nominees. We had The Substance with 5 nominations, including Best Picture, and then Nosferatu with 4 nominations in other categories. So 9 nominations for 2 films last year, and I was super excited. Horror is being represented. This year, if you count Begonia as horror, which I'm going to do, the line between psychological thriller and horror is thin, I know. But that means whether or not you count that, there's 4 or 5 films that were
Nice.
nominated this year for a total of 27 or 31 nominations. So we
Okay.
have 16 for Sinners, 9 for Frankenstein, 4 for Begonia, 1 for Weapons, and 1 for The Ugly Stepsister, which is pretty extreme horror, or like body
Okay.
horror. It's the Cinderella story with like all the Grimm's brother flourishes, then some.
Okay.
But it's one of my favorite films of the year, so I was really excited to see it here. And obviously,
Cool.
we've talked about Weapons. We have a whole episode about that.
We do.
But there are, it's not like horror's never done well. The Exorcist, Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, The Sixth Sense, Black Swan, Get Out, and The Substance. These were all Best Picture nominees in the past. But in this volume, I don't think this has ever
Right.
happened.
Did I'm looking up really quick. Yeah, The Omen. Yeah, The Omen got nominated a couple of times
Hmm.
for score and song. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I was
not
just
Best
thinking.
Picture. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the 50th anniversary of The Omen, and I was going to see if that's something that comes up in our conversations around Spooktober. I mean, I know we're far off, and I don't know what plans you've already got, but
You've been
it
wanting
just
to talk about the Omen series for a while, so I should put it on the list this year, at least some of them. There's 6 movies. We don't necessarily need to watch all of them. The last 2, especially the last one's real bad.
right, yeah, exactly. But the 50th anniversary for the original, like that,
Yeah.
that's maybe a nice little
And
cross segment. But
I like the remake from, was it 2016? I don't know, but I
No
like
idea.
the Omen remake. I think it complements nicely. So I could see doing a lore down between the original and the remake.
Right. It could go into the mix of conversation
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm like strong advocating for it, but
Mhm.
it's just like one of those things. Oh, and then it just happens to be this year. It's its anniversary. So,
Right.
yeah,
Okay, noted.
cool.
Okay, let's take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to preview the Best Picture nominees. See you in a sec. Okay, Best Picture nominees. So just to rattle off the list again to start, the Best Picture nominees in alphabetical order are Begonia, Frankenstein, F1, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. And I've seen them all so far. I'm going to hold off on talking about rankings until we do our episode, but you've seen more than usual this year too, right?
Yeah, I am 4 for 10, I
Okay.
think. And I'm just double checking. Yeah, that's right. 4 for 10. So I've seen F1. My wife and I went and saw it in the theater as a fun date night thing.
Mhm.
Saw one battle after another. We have
Right.
multiple podcasts on that. I think we had like 3
Yeah,
conversations.
and the I'll rattle off the list of which this includes, but you will find in the show notes links to the episodes for
Nice.
Oscar nominated films we've covered.
Right. I've seen Sentimental Value and I've seen Sinners.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sinners.
Apologies. Yes. And I have a plan to see everything else that is available digitally. And then I'm trying to think about my in theater plans and sort of prioritizing what to see there. Because there's a few things that are still, or I don't know are going to be streaming prior to the nomination. So if I'm going to complete my goal of seeing all 10 before the awards ceremony, I got a little bit of a work to do. So
Yeah,
been getting myself
there.
out of the house.
Um, we'll talk about as we run through them now. We'll
Yes.
talk about where you can watch them and which ones are still in theaters and which ones are coming soon to video on demand at least.
Yep.
So we're going to go through the Best Picture nominees in descending order of nominations, and where there are ties in the number, we'll go alphabetical.
Cool.
So no preferences here, except I will express my preference. Sinners is one of my favorite movies of the year. Sinners and 28 Years Later. I knew 28 Years Later wasn't going to get nominated here. BAFTAs, I'm looking at you for that. Um,
Question really quick, just on the
mhm.
28 years thing. Is it a theater or home? Like, should I make it to the theater for 28 years?
I think it's great in a theater. The visuals
Got
are.
it. That's what
Have
I
you seen the
thought.
first one? The
Yeah,
20.
I've seen everything now. I
Yeah,
think
you
I've
saw the
seen
one that
everything.
came out this past year?
Yeah, and including, yes, I did, and
Mhm.
including like I've gone back to the original.
Right, the
Uh,
days and weeks, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think so you saw in the one 28 Years Later that it was, yeah, it's a great cinematic experience,
Hmm.
and, this new one, The Bone Temple, is also similarly a great cinematic experience.
And unfortunately, it's probably one of those things where I do need to go a little further afield to get a better screen, right?
Mm.
What was it I saw recently that I can't anyway, I don't want to spend much time on it, but there was a movie that I know what it was. It was the Predator Badlands.
Mhm.
And part
Oh,
of my
yeah, you said it
disappointment
was a
in the
bad.
film was
Mhm.
the screen was just so bad when you're relying on special effects and environmental effects like that. It really is important to have a quality screen. So I might have to go see 28. What is it? Weeks,
The
days,
Bone
months, whatever.
Temple. Yeah,
Yeah, Bone Temple.
years.
Just call it
The
Bone
Bone
Temple.
Temple. The Bone Temple, so yeah.
Anyway, moving on back to Sinners. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, so horror still. That was, again, Warner Brothers, and the plot is Dance with the Devil. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Dun dun dun. And of course, the greater evil, well, it's vampires on the one hand, but it's also the KKK. So the 16 nominations are Best Picture, Director for Ryan Coogler, Lead Actor for Michael B. Jordan, who plays the twins, Delroy Lindo for Supporting Actor. That was a pleasant surprise. Wunmi Musako for Supporting Actress, Original Screenplay, Costume Design, Casting, Makeup and Hair, Score, Cinematography, Film Editing, Original song for I Lied to You by Raphael Sadiq and Ludwig Göransson. Production design, sound, and VFX. And we will, by the way, we'll look at acting quickly separately at the end. So we'll talk more about the surprise nominees and surprise snubs. But yeah, what did you think when you saw all of those nominations?
I was really pleased to
Yeah.
see that this tension between it's a complex mix of things, and I will just come out and say it's great to see a black filmmaker and black actors
Mm-hmm.
actually dominating in a field that the African American community and the black experience in this country is long overdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And well deserved. So there's that aspect of it, as well, just to see a film that just excelled on so many levels and brought in so many newish actors, mid-career actors, and veteran actors with Delroy
Mm-hmm.
Lindo. So, and to see Wunmi
Yeah.
Masaku in there in that mix as well, that's just a really great across the generational span of
Sure.
people who've been working at their craft within, of course, Michael B. Jordan, blah blah blah, right? To actually be part of a creative project that is so well recognized and so well honored, technically as well as story and song and
Mm-hmm.
all the different things. So very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a movie. I mean, I know I'm a bigger fan of this one and you're a bigger fan of the next one we'll talk about, but it's a movie that hits on all levels of movie making, and I think that's really resonating.
Exactly.
As what you're saying about generational, yeah, Miles Caton, he is the one who plays the cousin preacher boy Sammy, and this was his first film. Like they just
Right.
discovered him for this,
Right.
and it's the same one battle after another. Chase Infinity was the big
Right.
discovery there. And both of them, neither of those two actors got nominated because the Academy this year seemed to have favored more senior actors, like
Right.
in this case, Delroy Lindo. In terms of what you're saying about the black filmmakers, I would say just point out that Ryan Coogler now joins Jordan Peele and Spike Lee as the only black filmmakers in Oscars history who were triple nominated
Nice.
for producing, directing, and writing their movie.
Right. That's pretty
Yeah.
excellent. Now, the thing I wanted to add was that, to asterisks, I've been on record on this podcast
Mm-hmm.
as saying that I didn't personally
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this movie. And I want to be clear and authentic about that. The movie didn't hit for me, which
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do, just because of my personal reaction to it, to its excellence across its creative and production excellence, right? And that's when we talk about a perfect movie thing. A perfect movie, or this idea of a perfect movie, isn't necessarily tied to one's own personal enjoyment of the property. I can absolutely appreciate and support and rah this film in a number of ways, even though for me it wasn't as exciting, right?
Yeah.
Or as an enjoyable thing. So I just want to be clear and very authentic about that, because people will
Sure.
go, "Well, David, you said you didn't like the movie," and it's like, I didn't, but that has nothing to do with the fact that it's an excellent movie, right?
Right.
And it's put
You
together,
can
and it's
still cheer it on for,
exactly.
setting records and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think it's an incredible achievement, especially for Michael B. Jordan playing twins. So there's two aspects to that as well. There's
Yeah.
performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing two different characters. And then there's a technical aspect of putting them both on screen
Right.
at the
Hence
same
the
time.
VFX. One of the reasons why there's a VFX now. Yeah.
That's an incredible achievement, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not, it's been done before, but this
Mm-hmm.
is at this new next level. And I
Yeah.
think that is a really, and for Coogler to have the vision and then to be able to execute on that vision is another thing that you cannot discount.
Mm-hmm.
That he worked through all of the legal, technical, studio, there's always studio Meshuggah now, right? And then
He
just
got
actually
a
filming it.
yeah. He got a landmark deal from the studio because they believed in this vision so much. They wanted this vision.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he proved himself. Yeah. And you know, people, the Golden Globes were aired just before nominations, the nomination voting opened for the Oscars, and people were not happy that up to that point it felt like Sinners was getting snubbed in a lot of categories. Like it got the consolation prize at the Golden
Right.
Globes, which is for, you know, what is it, best cinematic achievements, which whatever that means.
It's a participation award.
Yeah, and then Hamnet won drama, and One Battle After Another won comedy. So there was likely people who were like, "What?" and
Yeah,
like
right.
nominating.
Yeah, right. Right, and that's the interesting thing about the Oscars. It's not just sort of a mechanistic thing. It's a living body that is
Mhm.
nominating and voting, and yeah, there's active conversation, which means
Yeah.
that people have to be out promoting their films and doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
Anyway, that's a
Right.
whole other conversation.
Yeah, and also I'll say another landmark it could fulfill is Autumn Durald Archipel. She is the cinematographer. She's nominated. She's the fourth woman to be nominated in cinematography, but if she won, she would be the first woman to win this award. So that would be a
Wow,
landmark. Yeah,
I did not know that aspect of it. That's great.
yeah.
Very cool. Which is a very cinematography, very male dominated field. So really great to
Hmm.
see. And I'm guessing her career wise, yeah, I'm just
She's
looking
one
her
of the
up. She's
ones. I'll say Ryan Coogler picked up a few women behind the scenes, like Ruthie Carter, the costume designer and stuff, from his work at Marvel. He was like, "Hey,
nice.
yeah.
Right. And she's still early career. So she is going to be somebody we should keep our eyes on. So that's great.
So if you want to keep your eyes on this film, you can watch it on HBO Max, and you'll find a link in the show notes to our coverage of this film. Now, the next film, you liked it so much you covered it thrice. And that is One Battle After Another, also from Warner Brothers. The plot is some search for battle, others are born into it. When their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years, a band of ex revolutionaries reunite to rescue the daughter of one of their own. And the 13 nominations are Best Picture Director for Paul Thomas Anderson, Lead Actor for Leonardo DiCaprio, Supporting Actor times two for both Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn, Supporting Actress Teyana Taylor, Adapted Screenplay, Casting, Score, Cinematography, Editing, Production Design, and Sound. How are you feeling about this lineup of nominations?
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I want to asterisk this again, too, in terms of my personal reaction to the movie. Do I like this movie, or did it activate me in a way of like the response that I had to it,
Mm-hmm.
both concurrently in terms of what's going on in our world today and in our country today, versus the breadth of the storytelling and the intensity of the performances, and then the social issues that the film is addressing and dealing with. I think that's where my higher level of engagement of doing 3 podcasts
Mm-hmm.
about it was more centered, because it actually caused conversation to happen, to talk about certain social things and what's going on, not only with the film itself, but then also with the social aspects of it.
Yeah.
Is it a favorite film of mine? Like, do
Mm-hmm.
I adore it? Something like Big Trouble in Little China or
Mm-hmm.
Devil Wears Prada, that I will just watch, every couple of years. I'll watch those again because I love them so much and I enjoy them. I don't know that I'm going to be watching One Battle Another, call it, oh, I got a spare half an hour, let me watch this
Mm-hmm.
scene or whatever. I don't know that I'm going to do that.
Hmm.
So, but in terms of a film that really affected me and wanted me to think, that I had thoughts and that I wanted to talk about those thoughts, I think that's where the power of the film was for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, we'll do our rankings at the end, of course. This probably is in like the lower middle of mine. And
sure.
I would say the reason I think why it, like, I don't want to say it rubs me the wrong way, because I think there's a lot of great things about it. And, you know,
Yeah.
I said like it was going to be worthy of all this nominations it's going to get. But for me, I guess the part that annoys me slightly about this film is, and I'm glad it made you feel activated and think about these things. But for me, I felt like it was so shallow on the front of talking about
Interesting.
these social issues. I'll say in your third episode about it, you talked with Jean, and he represented my opinion on this a lot, where it's just, I just think saying fascism on screen isn't the same as exploring
Right.
the causes and effects of fascism.
Fair. Yeah.
So yeah,
And,
that's
and,
the, you know.
and interesting in contrast, where Sinners is doing this tradition of using horror,
Mm-hmm.
right? The genre of horror, body horror, gore, these kinds of, supernatural, what have you, to explore the roots and effects of racism and
Mm-hmm.
misogyny and these other
Mm-hmm.
things. And we think of Cthulhu Country. Or wait, no, what was it? What was that?
Lovecraft Country.
Love Country, Cthulhu Country,
Yeah.
Lovecraft Country, and things like that. In carrying on that tradition. And so here are two films, which is interesting, that are uh, addressing deeper social issues
Mm-hmm.
in visual storytelling. And so I think that's a kind of achievement in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, we'll notice that films like that definitely they got a lot of nominations this year, because I just think that people are craving for something that speaks to their frustrations and their fears and everything with the current world.
As well as complexity in story and nuance in story, where we have, like we were talking before, just sort of this superficial swipe culture, right? And you kind of get your dopamine hit and sort of, just consume so much. And so then to be able to lose yourself in a complex story, a nuanced story, a story that has multiple characters with multiple motivations and points of view, I think I'm craving that. I crave that a little bit, right? Of like,
Hmm.
I want something that's nutritious and complex, as opposed to, yeah, sometimes you want your fast food and you want your simple
Hmm.
flavors. That's fine. But then that really helps you contrast and go, oh, this is a meal, right? This is put together with intention and purpose, and is driving at something, and that's
Yeah.
satisfying.
Well, this one has long been considered the front runner by a lot of people. A lot of people
Indeed,
tip
it
it
has.
over Sinners. It won at the Critics' Choice Awards. It won Golden Globes comedy, which I found interesting. But the people are like, Thomas Pynchon, it's from a Thomas Pynchon book. I'm like,
Sure.
okay, I haven't read his books. I know who he is, obviously, but apparently they're comedic. Um, but I'll say with this, Leonardo DiCaprio now ties Robert De Niro for the
Oh, that's
most
interesting.
appearances in a Best Picture nominee. So he's been in 12 Best Picture nominees now. He's
Including
also
Titanic.
nominated this year, but he's including Titanic. Yeah. If you want to see this one, it's also on HBO Max. Also, do check out the 3 episodes linked in the show notes. Listen to the third one if you want to hear more Jean talking about things that represent my viewpoints on the film. Um, I know, yeah, the other two are great episodes, though. I really enjoyed each of those episodes you did had a different vibe, a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
approach. People felt differently about it, so that was
Yeah, I
great.
spoke with Anthony, and then I spoke with Ron and JD
Hmm.
over at Dungeons and Durags, which our newest affiliate podcast, and which we we got some more work to do to get that up and running.
Hmm.
But Ron and JD had a great time talking about the film as well, and yeah, going. So
Hmm. And the next film, Frankenstein, on Netflix, so you can watch it on Netflix. Was a personal special pet project of mine. So go over to the Wolshiv Dust feed to hear Aisha and I talking about the 1931 and 1935 movies. But this one, the Guillermo del Toro one, it is the plot is only monsters play God. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. That description not 100% true, but anyway. 9 nominations: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Jacob Elordi, who plays the creature, adapted screenplay, costume design, which I think it will and should win, makeup and hair, score, cinematography, production design, and sound. And are you looking forward to this one? This is one of the ones where I'm like, I'm not sure you're going to like this as much as the others, but I love it.
I am definitely, like I said before, I am definitely looking forward to rounding out all of my films. I know you put a lot of work into the Frankenstein story itself this year, and so I'm sort of excited to go back and pick up on those episodes. I was going to use this film as my snapshot, and then I'll go back and
Right.
hear some of your project work on it. And obviously, it's been a story that's been around as a kid growing up with it. Right, it's one of the classics. And yeah, Guillermo del Toro is a great director, and I'm interested in what he has to offer. And I was a little surprised that it had a lot of heat coming into it, and then once it was released, it just kind of didn't. I didn't hear a lot more about it, so I was like, that's
Oh,
interesting. It wasn't like
okay.
it was making shockwaves, like Sinners did, or
Um,
other
I
things. So
mean, it was a lock.
breaking through to my point, right?
Right.
I'm not an Oscar or cinema,
Right.
person in the same way. So
Yeah, it was considered a lock for Best Picture, and I
okay,
would say the 9 nominations is slightly more than I would have anticipated going into nominations.
okay,
Um, Guillermo del Toro, though, surprisingly, but not completely surprisingly, because it's a competitive year, not one of the Best Director
mm.
nominees, but he does join Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu as the only Latin American director to receive, or Latin American in general, to receive 3 Best Picture nominations.
I really like Iñárritu. The Revenant and Birdman
Mhm.
are really uh, movies that really affected me when I saw them. I also enjoyed Babel. 21 Grams was great. I am just looking at his filmography now.
Mm.
I wonder if I saw Beautiful or not. But I really enjoyed him and his process. I heard or I watched an interview, or was I there? Anyway, I saw Iñárritu talking about the filming process of The Revenant, and that really interested me in how they did all natural lighting and the process that was involved in that, and I just found that fascinating. So as a filmmaker, but these are two filmmakers who, when
Mhm.
they're when they have something to release, I'm like, oh, what's that? I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah,
interested, and to
yeah,
have them together, like, awesome, that's great.
yeah.
I'm like, cool,
I mean, I talked about this a lot more in our Frankenstein episode, but Del Toro is a favorite director of mine. If
right.
you know my tastes, that's not shocking news. Um, and he's an Academy darling, so
Yeah,
that also helped buoy the success of this. But it is, Lisa and I are going to do an episode talking about the Production Design Awards, and it is definitely a feat of production design. It is absolutely gorgeous. So.
cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a plan for it, and it will be watched before. I don't think my wife will be like. I have to also think about
Mhm.
which films that I know my wife will be interested in watching
Yeah.
that we can do together, and then the ones that I just can just watch on my own. So,
Right. Right.
and this is one I'll just be watching
Right.
on my own.
Maybe she'll like, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Marty Supreme. This is A24's big entry this year. The plot is dream big. In 1950s New York, Marty Mauser, a young man with a dream no one respects, goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. And we should say, since it's not in the description, the dream is to become the number one ping pong player in the world. This one also got 9 nominations: Best Picture, Director for Josh Safdie, Lead Actor for Timothy Chalamet, Original Screenplay, Casting, Production Design, Costume Design, Cinematography, and Editing. And this is famously the year the Safdie brothers split up and did their own projects. So uh, the other brother did The Smashing Machine, which only got a makeup nomination in the end. I need to watch that one this week. That's one of I've watched going into this when nominations were announced. I had watched 40 of the 50 nominated films.
Wow, good job. That was nice prep, because then your window of what you've got to
Right.
pick up is your death race. Are you death
Yeah.
racing? You're death racing this
I
year, right?
mean, yeah, I death race beyond the
40.
Oscars. The Oscars is like the floor for death racing.
Yeah, shout out to the death racers out there. I admire you guys. I could never do what people do.
I'm now for the Oscars, I'm now at 41 and a half. And
Okay.
for the Mecca Death Race, which includes Oscars long list, Oscars shortlist, BAFTAs and long lists, Golden Globes, Indie Spirit Awards. So far there's like a little over 200 for that, and I have watched 120. So,
wow. Can we study your brain someday?
oh man,
Science.
I am behind though a lot of other people.
Sure, right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair, right? Yeah. Well, you have podcasts to record. Sometimes other people
Yeah.
don't. So, some of your hours are taking up during the day with
Of
other
course.
things.
But yeah, so Marty Supreme, as I said, the Safdie brothers split up, but they are most famous for working together on films like Uncut Gems. And I'll say that there is definitely Uncut Gems DNA in Marty Supreme in the way that it is stressful. You're like, what is happening on my screen? Oh my God. But I would say I didn't like Uncut Gems personally,
Sure.
and I know that puts me in the minority, but I did like Mighty Supreme. And I think the difference is, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say Mighty Supreme to me has more heart, and I'm happier with where it goes with that and the way it makes me feel, because it makes me root for someone who's unlikable. Timothy Chalamet's character, not likable, but I'm still rooting for him for some reason, and in the end it feels like he's gotten a satisfying arc.
And Uncut Gems was like kind of bleak.
Yes.
Like there wasn't there's a path out of this. It was just such a good movie. And yeah, again, one of those things that, God, I really had an experience watching it, and it's not like I'm going back to watch it on frequent repeat, right? So I'm excited to hear that Marty Supreme has a hopeful element to it, I guess, in a way. There's a positive thing trying, that here's somebody that you can root for trying to achieve their goals. Like that's always a good story, right?
Right. And the biggest story from this movie is Timothy Chalamet, who plays the titular character. He receives nominations. He was a producer on the film, so he received both Best Actor and Best Picture nominations for this, which makes him the youngest person to get both of these nominations. He's now 30, and so he narrowly beat Warren Beatty, had that record. He beat him by 9 months.
Interesting.
And he's also now the youngest male actor to have received 3 acting nominations since, and this is where he was narrowly beaten by Marlon Brando was the last one to achieve this 3rd nomination before his 30th birthday. So, and it does look like it's going to be his year. So,
I'm sure people are doing the side by side comparisons with him and Leo. Is this Leo's replacement?
Yeah. Well, that is kind of the idea. And people are like, oh, they're going head to head. But so far, he's just been winning everything. So it doesn't even feel like Leo has a chance. But we'll see. We'll see.
When the youngin comes for the veteran, right? It's a thing to watch.
If Timothy Chalamet had won last year, he would have been the youngest winner ever. But he didn't. Instead, the previous record of the youngest winner ever won last year, Adrian Brody. So he not only got another Oscar, but he got to keep his record.
And we have Dune 3 coming out this year, right? So he's we'll see where.
We'll see. Wicked for Good says maybe the Academy is not treating sequels kindly, but we'll see. Dune Part 2 was really under-rewarded by the Academy, so I'm hoping the Dune Part 3 bucks that. We'll see.
Right. And it's going to be a thing. Like, I think he's Denis going to swing for the fences, right? He's got to cap this series off, right? So,
yeah.
And we have precedent with Return of the King, right? That film that I just sort of liked back, that old film that it just was okay.
You might have heard it mentioned on this podcast before. But for Marty Supreme, this is one of the ones that's currently in theaters, but it does seem the word on the street is that it's coming to video on demand on February 3rd. So video on demand, that is like, renting through Apple or Amazon or YouTube or wherever you like to rent.
For insane prices, but anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, February 3rd is when Marty Supreme's coming to video on demand.
How long is it? 2.5 hours. Yeah, this is one I feel like I could safely wait and watch on my home screen.
I understand that.
Yeah. Like it's not I can see the big theater experience for it, but then it's a time trade-off thing. And so,
Yeah.
I feel okay doing that, making that choice.
I dragged my whole family there over Christmas as our big
Nice.
Christmas family outing. We used
Oh,
to do
fun.
that all the time before the pandemic, and this is the first time we've done it since. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
Good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Traditions, right? Ritual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Important.
And so the next one I know you have seen, Sentimental Value. This is one of
Yes.
the neon ones.
Mhm.
And so the plot is sisters Nora and Agnes reunite with their estranged father, the charismatic Gustav, a once renowned director who offers stage actress Nora a role in what he hopes will be his comeback film. When Nora turns it down, she soon discovers he has given her part to an eager young Hollywood star. And the 9 nominations for this one are Best Picture, Director for Joachim Trier, Lead Actress for Renate Reinsve, Supporting Actor for Stellan Skarsgård, Supporting Actress for Elle Fanning. That one was kind of a surprise. And Supporting
Mhm.
Actress also for Inge Ibsdotter Lilius. Original Screenplay, International Film, which it will probably win if The Secret Agent doesn't, and Film Editing. And Film Editing is an interesting one because there's a traditional stat that ties film editing winner with the best picture winner. So it
Mhm.
was like there's a reaction video going around of the cast and crew of Sentimental Value watching the nominations being announced and reacting to it, and you notice they react most to the biggest surprises, and they did not expect to get film editing. So
Interesting.
they did very well, better than a lot of people might have expected, especially after they were shut out of a lot of the American Guild Awards, like the actor awards. So
Right.
yeah, it's the first film to have received 0 nominations at the Actor Awards, the previously known as the SAG Awards, and then 4 acting nominations at the Oscars. So just because all of the traditional precedents are kind of breaking down recently.
Mm. Yeah, it means that we're probably in a kind of an inflection point of some kind
Yeah.
culturally. So,
And yeah,
yeah.
this one you can watch on VOD, which you have video on demand, which you have seen it. You were a fan, yes?
What did I write? I said on our
It's pure
Discord something
cinema.
like pure cinema. Yeah, I really felt this is a movie, right?
Hmm.
And it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It told a story. It told a complex story. We saw characters. I absolutely adored Inga Ibsdotter Lilius's performances as,
She stood out to me as well.
oh my god, because she's not, well. I almost spoiled. Sorry. Her character, you don't think is her subtle. That I'm trying to like.
She had to make a quiet character be the
Yes,
emotional center of the movie, and she pulled that off
perfect. Well,
beautifully. Yeah.
thank you for clarifying my jumbled up internal thoughts. That is exactly what it is, and her subtlety and her depth of performance was just incredible. And nothing against Elle Fanning, she was great, but
Hmm.
that one just kind of was like, oh, that's an
Yeah.
interesting supporting actor. Anyway,
Yeah.
Skarsgård was phenomenal.
Hmm.
Especially coming out of Andor, or where Andor season 2, he's got to play a different character than he played in season 1. He has to play somebody
Hmm.
who's aged, and it's the same thing again here. He's really leaning into his what's the way I want to say this respectfully? As we age, we change in different ways, and to be able to portray that with the subtlety and the complexities that he did, and in such a different kind of performance than what we've seen him in a bunch of recently, was really exceptional. It's a really exceptional film. The the set, we'll just say that the character of the set is was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's a long movie, and I never felt like I had to watch my clock,
No.
or I watched it at home, and it really took me. I was really transported by this film.
Yeah.
I so thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's interesting in contrast to what's the George Clooney one?
Jay Kelly.
Jay Kelly. Like, how many How many films in a year can we have about errant fathers who decide to come back and try to be active in their children's lives? Well, there's only room for one of them, and I'm definitely giving it a sentimental value. So,
Yeah, and I would say I thought earlier in the year I would have expected this to be in cinematography as well, but that was an extraordinarily competitive category this year. But the cinematography is gorgeous in that film.
what I don't have a read. Do I have a read on you on what your appreciation for the film is? Did you like it?
Yeah, so I liked it. It's not one that it sucked me in emotionally as much as say Sinners or Frankenstein. But I gave it 3.5 stars when I saw it. Ted, you and I talked about it after at the Leiden Film Festival, which you're
That's
watching.
right.
Um, and yeah, I gave it 3.5 stars, and I think I was like, this deserves all the praise it's going to be heaped on it. It did not hook me emotionally in the same way, but I
Right.
thought it was a beautiful film with a beautiful emotional performances, and that's totally a me thing.
Right.
This is obviously a very loved film this year.
That's right. I remember the Leiden conversation we had, and you're like, I you'll like this one. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, whatever. And then I watched it, and then you were like, oh, I was like, oh, Alicia's right. I liked it. Fair.
Um,
Cool.
Another beautiful emotional one is Hamnet from Focus. The plot is Keep Your Heart Open, the powerful story of love and loss that inspired the creation of Shakespeare's timeless masterpiece, Hamlet. And this one got 8 nominations: Best Picture, Director for Chloe Zhao, Lead Actress for Jessie Buckley, Adapted Screenplay, Costume Design, Casting, Score, and Production Design. And this is another one. This is in theaters now. We don't know. I mean, I suppose it's probably coming to video on demand in February, but to be honest, they ended up extending its theatrical run in the US because it's been doing so well in award season. So it is beautiful on screen. This is another one that I might have thought would have gotten cinematography, but it's just such a competitive year. It's a very beautiful film. Chloe Zhao is the director. She won before for what was it, Nomadland, and now she's the first woman to have won Best Director and get a follow up nomination
Oh,
after
cool.
winning. Jane Campion got 2 nominations, and Chloe Zhao is the first one to win and come back for her second nomination after that. Usually, it's like, oh, we already gave her one, she's done.
This is cool. It seems like there's a lot of records or patterns that are being challenged or broken or
Mm,
highlighting. And so the more that we talk about it, the
um,
more this year is like, oh, is this a watershed year? Is this a transformational year where we're seeing people of color, people from we're seeing more international
mhm.
films? We're really shaking up that Oscars so white condition.
I mean, yeah, there's still a long way to go because
But,
she is still the
of
only woman
course,
of color who's
of
ever
course,
been nominated for Best Director. And we still have the same thing happens every year where there
right.
are multiple films by female directors that should have gotten attention, but there's only ever one female
Right,
directing
right, right.
nominee. So we still, yeah, we're definitely making progress, but we've got a long way to go still, too.
We're pushing, we're pressurizing it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah, yeah.
moving along.
Hmm.
Fair, that's cool. Yeah, Hamnet is I haven't seen yet, and I don't have a plan for it. I'm like, and then I've heard people, as a parent, right? Things sometimes
Hmm.
we're affected by stories of parental struggle,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of like girding myself to see this one because I don't
It's
know how it's going to punch me.
I'll say it's not as I didn't find it as sad as, and maybe because I went in expecting to like cry the whole time.
Okay,
I'll say the sad stuff only kicks in the back half,
right.
and then it has a really affirming ending.
Okay,
And it's the ending that sends you out of the theater thinking, "Oh, damn, that was a great film."
okay, all right.
So I even recommended it to Marilyn just because it's not a gory film or anything.
Sure.
The sad thing, I'll just say it has to do with illness. So it's not like a horrible,
Right,
it's just
right, right.
stuff happens in life and how do you deal with your grief. Um, but the reason why I also recommended it to Marilyn is it's one of the best representations of realistic witchcraft on screen I've ever seen in terms of
Yeah.
being connected to intuition and nature. Yeah, I
Huh.
did not expect that. I was like, wait, this is a witchy film?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a Shakespeare? Is it a Shakespeare film? Like, is it a kind of Shakespeare in Love kind of thing where we're seeing into the world of the time?
Yes, it is definitely in that regard, but
Okay.
it's sort of an anti-Shakespeare in Love in terms of
Sure. Right.
people
Yeah. Tone.
interpret his relationship with his wife in different ways. This film definitely is like they were in love, okay? Let's just all get on board with the fact that they were in love and stop pretending he had an affair and da da da.
Okay.
Um, so and I would say also it's more like Shakespeare. This is more realistically grounded in terms of production design and such in the era.
And does
And
it?
it's not he is very much Paul Mescal is very much the supporting actor in this. This is Jesse Buckley's movie.
Okay. Does it deal with his work as a playwright?
Specific, I mean, it's we mostly see it from her perspective. So
Interesting.
he's going off to London to write, and we get updates on how his career is developing there.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
only the only play it really addresses in depth is Hamlet.
So don't really think of this as a Shakespearean thing. It's like
It
you
is
think of it
that
as
though. It
family and
is, yeah.
relationship and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
it's about his wife. It's Jesse
okay.
Buckley's movie for sure, but it is
Got it. Okay.
also
Okay.
about
Okay.
him. Yeah.
Right. Because whenever you hear anything Shakespeare
Mhm.
connected, that to me, it at least it it sets expectations of how is it going to deal with his work and impact of
Mm.
work and all that kind of stuff. So if I can reorient the context to be that it's Jesse Buckley's character and wife,
Yeah.
da da da, then that helps me prep myself as I go in. So
I'll say that this it's based on a book, and the book it's a historical fiction book, but it forwards a popular theory in some corners about the origin of Hamlet, but there are other historians who will come out and be like, that can't be true because of A and B and C. But
exactly, yeah,
we'll
yeah,
discuss that more in other categories.
okay.
Um, but yeah, so we're talking about people of color. We got to remember the white dudes. And Steven Spielberg is one of the producers on this film, and he has now extended his record as the most nominated person in Best Picture. He now has 14 nominations for Best Picture in
Wow.
his career.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, this one, it won the Golden Globe for drama, and it also won AARP Movies for Grown-Ups, which people are paying more attention to, especially after Viva Verdi got in for song, surprisingly,
Well, I'll tell
and a bunch
you,
of others.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The cultural tastes of people who grew up. I mean, yeah, these are generations that have moved through their lives with movies, and so as I'm sure when someday if I end up in a retirement home, I'll be playing role playing games, and next at the table next to us, they'll be playing Mario Kart at the same time, right? So like we're going to carry our preferences with us as we age. So
That's true. Okay, so those are kind of the big six of the season. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk about the other four Best Picture nominees. All right, so these last four spots were kind of up in the air, some more than others. One that a lot of pundits and I have also been predicting for a while now is Begonia got in, the latest Yorgos Lanthimos film, one of my favorite directors. This is a Focus film this year, not usually it's A24, but this is Focus. The plot is it all starts with something magnificent. Two conspiracy obsessed young men kidnap the high powered CEO of a major company, convinced that she is an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. And I'll say this one is based on a Korean film called Save the Green Planet. This one won four nominations: Best Picture, Lead Actress for Emma Stone, Adapted Screenplay, and Original Score. And Emma Stone is the other one who received nominations for both Best Actress and Best Picture this year. So there's only two times, this is the second time she's done this, and there's only two times ever that this has happened. That's two people in the same year have been nominated for both acting and Best Picture. and the last was in 2023. Her again, that time with Bradley Cooper. So she's also the youngest person and only woman to have ever done this, and I think she is coming for. I think she actually might have matched Meryl Streep's nomination record for young actress, but 1 year younger. She's 37, and Meryl Streep was 38. So Emma Stone going to be remembered as one of the greats of my generation.
Powerhouse. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Interesting. I'm just thinking about we're going to have a Diane Keaton Film Festival for our next 11's
Mm-hmm.
podcast. And I'm getting together with Brian and Lisa to do a review of Diane Keaton's filmography. And I'm just thinking, wow, is Emma Stone's trajectory that kind of thing where you have to spend an hour or something to go through
Mm-hmm.
all the films and really think deeply about the performances and all of the work that they've done. And
She's
it,
only 37, and I would say
right,
already, yes.
and a pretty incredible career, and known.
Yeah,
Emma Stone, right?
you're
If
right.
you see her name, you know her. So I have
And
a.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, her recent collaborations with Lanthimos have really propelled her
Right.
career as well. I think he's taking a break for a little bit right now. He put out a lot of movies in quick succession, and he's like, I need to breathe for a second.
Very cool. Yeah, I have a plan for this, and this will be one I watch probably on my own. I don't know that my wife is interested.
No,
So.
that's fair. This is one, so you can watch it on Peacock or video on demand. I said to you about this one, I was like, there are aspects of it that I think you're going to love, and there are aspects of it that I question whether you might hate. This is one of the ones I'm most curious to hear your
Okay, cool.
reaction to. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to see Jesse Plemons. I always enjoy
Mhm.
a Jesse Plemons performance, and I've
Unfortunately,
heard.
he missed. People really, I mean, he was so
Yes.
competitive, but people
Yeah.
really think that he should have gotten in even over Emma Stone. Obviously, they're in different categories; they're not head to head. But yeah, he did a really impressive
That was some
performance.
of the chatter I was hearing that people were like, "Huh, yeah, like why? Where is Jesse's name?" Anyway, I am looking forward to watching this one for all the reason.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I love Lanthimos. This one, I did love this one, but my enjoyment was only hampered by the fact that I like the Korean movie Save the Green Planet it's based on a little bit more for
Interesting.
some reasons we'll talk about more afterwards when we do our
Got it.
rankings.
Cool.
But this is beautiful, filmed in VistaVision. It's definitely worth watching on the highest resolution screen that you can.
That's two movies this year that
Hmm.
have Oscar noms for VistaVision. So
Yeah, apparently there's only one camera like that. There's only
yeah,
one VistaVision camera, so they have to be. And Emma Stone was saying about it. She was like, it was like they called it like what is it, the cat or something because it purrs, and she's like it was really it's a really temperamental camera and stuff. But
and
when
I
you
think there's
see it,
only
oh,
a handful of theaters that can actually show
mhm.
it in its native formatting. So yeah,
I think I must not have even seen it in its native form. I can't remember. Did I see this in Dolby even? I don't know.
yeah,
But it's gorgeous regardless.
cool.
All right, so that brings us to another the one that you've seen, F1, which was a cooperation between Warner Brothers and Apple. It is streaming on Apple TV, so that's where you can watch it now. Got the plot is Let's Ride. Racing legend Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt, is coaxed out of retirement to lead a struggling Formula One team and mentor a young hotshot driver, Damson Idris, while chasing one more chance at glory. And this got 4 nominations: Best Picture, Editing, Sound, and VFX. And this is one that people consider it the biggest surprise in Best Picture, but I honestly saw this coming personally. It is one that was expected to do reasonably well in the technical categories, which, yeah, the other 3 nominations are all technical categories. But it just seems like it's just a film that's been coming up over and over and over again. And, it seems like a lot of people have seen it. You've seen it. Were you surprised to see it here?
A little bit, and it's interesting. These these grouping of films here
Hmm.
are all the ones where you're like, "Why is this here?" Or interesting that this is
Hmm.
here. Why did this make it and not that? And this is one of those ones where I wasn't tracking that it wasn't going to be Oscar nominated. We
Hmm.
went and saw it. My in-laws had said they went and seen it, and oh, it's a fun thing. You guys should go on a date night. So we did, and we enjoyed ourselves, and we went out for a little bite beforehand and all that stuff. And it was just kind of a fun Robert Redford-esque kind of fun sort of.
It's being called a dad film.
Totally, I personally, and we're not going to get into
Mhm.
too much detail on it. It was about 20 minutes too long for me. There was some stuff in the middle that could have just chunked out, but the racing, the cinematography, all of that was really incredible, and it was fun. It was a fun movie. It had a very simplistic plot. You're like, okay, there's a little Top Gun-y element going on here, and will he or won't he get the girl, and all of that. There's nothing complex about this movie. And so it was fun. And I've had a long and complex history with Brad Pitt, not personally, but just as a viewer. And I enjoyed him in this. It's nice to see him leaning into his age set a little bit. So,
Yeah. And I know, like, Jean may have mentioned, if you listen to our podcast once or twice, that he likes Damson Idris. So I was glad to
yeah.
finally see what his whole deal was. And I think, for me, everything technically great. Can't fault the acting at all. The actors, it was just, for me, the writing was very basic checklist.
Yes, it really is.
Formulaic. Yeah.
Which is
Pun not intended, but
right. Which is why I'm a little surprised to see it on here, because story-wise, it's just very basic. But in terms of all of the other things, really fun. And this is one of those ones where I am glad I saw it in the theater. I'm glad to have had the big screen. I think we saw it in the really big screen at our theater, the big, neoclassical, space. And so it was really great to get that, like, that zoom feeling to it. So
I saw it on a plane, but this was the flight where I was upgraded to premium. So I had a bigger screen, and I had the added effects of massive amounts of turbulence. So it was like I was in the car myself.
4D. Fun.
This one is also making some records on the producing side. Producer Dee Dee Gardner got her 9th nomination for Best Picture with this film. And this makes her the most nominated woman in the category's history, breaking her tie with Kathleen Kennedy. And she is now tied with Scott Rudin for the second most nominations in the category overall. Steven Spielberg, as we said, 14-5 ahead. He's the overall winner. But and this also sets a record for 6 producers received Best Picture nominations. Now, there's supposed to be a max, but they do allow teams of 2, production teams of 2 to be recognized together. So that's why there is, there's not supposed to be more than 3 producers nominated, but this is actually 3 teams of 2.
Interesting.
No. So that brings us to Secret Agent by Neon. The plot is Brazil, 1977, a time of great mischief. In 1977 Brazil, technology specialist Marcelo, fleeing a mysterious past, returns to Recife in search of peace, but realizes the city is far from the refuge he seeks. So this one got 4 nominations for Best Picture, lead actor for Wagner Moura, casting, and international film. This is the second Best Picture nomination for Brazil after I'm Still Here last year.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah. And Wagner Moura is now the 3rd Brazilian to be nominated for an Oscar, and the first male Brazilian. He for an acting Oscar, I should say, following last year's nominee Fernanda Torres, and her mother Fernanda Montenegro is the other nominee from a long time ago. This one is also still in theaters, but it is also expected on video on demand on February 3rd. And this one, I had some issues with the writing, and I'm the more I think about it, I think there's an editing problem, the way the movie was stitched together for me. But I'm predicting that you will like this one better than me. It's a bit of a caper. It is set around the same time as I'm Still Here from last year, but it has a much different tone. It's much more like antics. And very much more colorful in terms of what you see on screen and everything, and also the way things are portrayed. So, I'm very curious to hear what you'll think of this one.
And I hadn't heard about this, didn't know anything about it, and all I knew was Wagner Moura, and I was like, okay, I have to see
I'm
this
in.
because Wagner
Yeah.
Moura.
Yeah.
I am becoming a big fan of his, and that's what's the definition of a movie star is you go see their movie
Right.
without knowing anything else about the movie
Right.
other than the fact that that person is in it. And I
Yeah.
think for me, Wagner Moura is now a movie star. So
Yeah. Yeah. He really, for me, it was Civil War, where the
yeah,
Alex
yeah,
Garland film, where I was like, wait, who is that? And now
exactly.
ever since I am paying a lot of attention to Wagner Moore as well. And he indeed is very charming, very good in this film.
He's got the thing. He's got
He's
that
got the
on-screen
thing.
thing.
He's a movie star for show.
Yep. I've got definitely a plan for watching.
Yeah. All
Yes.
the love to Brazil. I'll just say I've seen other Brazilian films I liked better this year, but Brazil, I love you. I love Wagner Moura. Don't hate me. Okay, that brings us to the final film on the list, Train Dreams, a Netflix film. The plot is a logger leads a life of quiet grace as he experiences love and loss during an era of monumental change in early 20th century America. 4 nominations for Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, an original song for Train Dreams. It's called Train Dreams, the song by Nick Cave and Bryce Dessner. Bryce Dessner did the rest of the score, and Nick Cave just kind of he when he was like writing the song, he was like, and it turns out Clint Bentley, the director, he went to Nick Cave and said, I would like you to write a song for this film. And Nick Cave was like, that happens to be my favorite book. So he was like, I don't know if I can like write a song for this film. And then he said like that night, he immediately the lyrics came to him, and he heard Bryce Dessner's score, and he's like, oh yeah, I can just make it blend into that. And so I think it's a really beautiful song. I was very glad to see it got nominated. Um, this is one of the ones that I was suggesting for you. It's melancholy, also, but I don't know. I didn't mind that aspect. It's so beautiful. Absolutely deserved the cinematography nomination. It's just kind of tracing a lost era of Americana. Um, he's a logger, I'll say,
Right.
and there's also, I think, in another universe, William H. Macy would have also gotten a supporting actor nominee. He really stands out in this film. It's I
We just were
It's a very
watching
special film.
Fargo
Mhm.
for our 11Z's monthly movie club thing, and I was just thinking, man, William H. Macy, what a career that guy's had. So
Mhm.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that he was in this. I'm excited now to see it.
Yeah. No, I hope that you'll like it. I liked it. I think it's a very special film and
Cool.
absolutely deserves to be in Best Picture. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is one that I think The Secret Agent and Train Dreams are two films that I want to see arrange for my wife and I to watch together. So this
Okay.
sounds like good. And Hamnet.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to be interested in Hamnet or not, but anyway,
I mean, I
uh,
think as a mother, it might be a tough watch for a bit in the middle
that's what I
there, but
mean.
I think, but I'm telling you, the
The
end
end. Okay.
makes it worth it.
Sublime.
If the end is a nod
Fair.
to mothers everywhere,
Got it. Got it. Well,
and
Train
dads
Dreams.
too.
Yeah. Train Dreams, I'm definitely looking forward to. I had, again, like Secret Agent, it was not on my radar.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Not long ago, a few months ago, I watched McCabe and Mrs. Miller, and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
what a movie. So I'm kind of excited to see something to pair it with. Oh, God, I totally forgot about this too. Can just quickly to jump back in talking about pairings,
Hmm.
sentimental value
Mm.
followed by rental family.
Hmm.
Great pairing. Really,
Hmm.
really, really great pairing. I would highly recommend that setup for anyone.
Yeah.
Rental family was so lovely. Anyway,
It
we
is
don't have
so
to
lovely.
we
Yeah,
don't have to
no,
dive
I'm
into
going to
it.
mention Rental Family briefly because it is notable in a certain way. On the other side of one last quick commercial break, we're going to talk about the other biggest surprises and fun facts and a quick look at the acting nominees. See you in a sec. All right. So first big surprise, Avatar Fire and Ash in costumes.
Okay.
This was one of the biggest surprises of the night. Lisa and I are definitely going to talk about it. We've talked about it privately, but we're going to talk about it in our episode. It's up against Frankenstein, which is probably or should win, if not, if it doesn't get caught up in like a Sinner sweep or something. And Hamnet and Marty and Supreme are the other two nominees, but there are just such. Yeah, Lisa and I are gonna cry for films like Hedda that should have been in here instead, or Wicked for Good, you know. So it's a digital movie, but apparently the costumes are made physically and then, sort of scanned
Shot.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it qualifies. It was just a big shock, and I'm sure more will come out over the coming weeks about how that happened.
Okay.
Of course, this leads into the fact that Wicked for Good completely blanked. We already talked about that, but it was expected to at least get costumes and song. Last year,
Mm-hmm.
it was nominated for the first part was nominated for 10 films, including Best Picture. And so this is shocking. And of course, the two acting nominees we might have expected, especially Ariana Grande, was thought to be a lock for a while. So shocking. Um, the biggest surprise in song I mentioned briefly above was this song with the Viva Verdi. It's an interesting it's opera, but it also has some sort of quasi pop mix. Now, Mark and I, we were going to talk about this in our episode anyway, of our a music episode that's coming up,
Right.
just because it's so interesting and different. So I suppose I'm not the only person who thought that, and I know Mark will break down for us better what exactly genre this would qualify as. He's really good at that. But that was a big surprise, and then makeup, bringing the surprises left and right. I so Frankenstein and Sinners were considered locks. Frankenstein will probably win for especially the creature's makeup. But and I know a lot of people said the Smashing Machine was a lock. I That's one I have to watch this week. I haven't seen it yet. But for me, it was like I didn't consider it a lock. But I had two hopeful ones. I was like, "Ooh, I hope either Kokuho, the Japan's entry this year, or the Ugly Stepsister, which is not Norway's entry this year because Sentimental Value is Norway's entry this year. So the Ugly Stepsister was one that was probably going to be left out. A, because of that, and B, because it's extreme body horror. And both Kokuho and the Ugly Stepsister got in, so that was a really pleasant surprise for me.
Cool. You had mentioned Kokuo to
Hmm.
me, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," but it feels like it's a bit of a weighty tome.
It's a 3-hour epic set. It's about a
Amazing.
young Yakuza boy who ends up becoming one of the greatest kabuki performers in Japan.
I watched the trailer and it looked stunning.
Yeah. Well, I love what I mean, definitely Lisa and I are going to talk about this in the production design stuff, but it was nominated for makeup. It could have been in costumes more than Avatar for me, but um Abby, she went to see it in the theater, and I liked her comment afterwards. She was like, I could smell the makeup and the old kimonos, you know. And I'd say I learned a lot about kabuki watching, so that
Very
was
cool.
really worthwhile. This is definitely a theater nerds movie.
Nice. And Japan has a lot to offer both television and movie these days. And so, and with the return for Shogun coming up, I think it's something I definitely want to watch ahead of time just to immerse myself in the rich cultural history of all of these forms. And to see a movie about stage, right? Like
Mhm.
sentimental value in some ways.
Is about film, yeah.
Yeah. The sentimental value is, a movie within a movie, a play within a play kind of thing. And so to
Mhm.
see a movie about stage performances in Japan seems like
Yeah.
it seems really great offering. So
I appreciate that they clearly spent some time getting the subtitles right for Kakuo, and
a
including.
noted thing for you.
Yeah. But including like when they would show these iconic scenes from kabuki, iconic to people who know kabuki. I'm sure everyone in
Hmm.
Japan automatically you hear the title and you know the idea, but obviously they realize the international audience does not. So they would just like have like a pause to sort of briefly summarize in the subtitles for you, this is what happens in this scene. So,
Oh,
and then
interesting. All right. Little
so they really
contextual.
are making it more accessible for non-Japanese people as
Love
well,
that.
which I super
Right.
appreciate.
Love that.
And as I said, The Ugly Stepsister, one of my top films of the year. I do have to recommend it with caution because of the extreme elements of horror. There are scenes in there I will never forget. And I watched a lot of it through my fingers. I say that as someone with a strong stomach.
Yeah,
But
and
now
a horror, like, yeah,
mhm.
horror is an important genre for you, so
But it is
that's saying
it's
something.
I mean, if you know the Brothers Grimm version of Cinderella, like it's yes, there are you can see on the poster it involves the cutting off of toes, which comes straight out of the Brothers Grimm, and
Okay.
that ends up being not one of well, it's one of the worst, I suppose, but there are a few. It's just like, good God.
All right.
But it is
Forewarned.
so beautiful. Like it's so visually beautiful. Just the production design and the acting is so good. And it's a really great take on Cinderella with it's from obviously the stepsister's perspective. And it has really interesting ending. So yeah, I loved that one and I kind of want to rewatch it, even though I'll rewatch it through my fingers again in parts. In parts. It's not all like that. Um, I'll just say, yeah, VFX was a bit expected, a bit unexpected. Avatar Fire and Ash, obviously nominated, likely to win. F1, Jurassic World Rebirth, The Lost Bus, and Sinners are in there. Jurassic World Rebirth, probably the biggest surprise in that lot. But I mean, it shouldn't be. It's big dinosaurs, but there's just so many snubs. Superman was on the short list, didn't make it in. Predator Badlands and 3 Marvel films didn't even make the short list. So it's yeah, an interest. I'm usually more excited about that category, and this year I'm like, yeah, fine, it's Avatar. I'm moving on.
Right.
And so I teased this. We talked about neon, and I said we're going to come back to the neon thing because, as I mentioned, they've become made a name for themselves, and especially the international category. And there was a phenomenon that people were predicting might happen. I was hoping for it, and it was that the Neon Five would take over international. That Neon would get all 5 spots in international, and
Mm.
that didn't quite happen. So they got 4 spots, the 4 spots that were considered pretty much locks. It was just an accident from France, although it's actually an Iranian film. But Jafar Panahi is, being persecuted by the government in Iran and all that. So a lot of Iranian films are submitted by other countries lately. Sentimental Value from Norway, one of the 2 most likely winners. Surat from Spain was thought to get more nominations, but only ended up getting 2. The Secret Agent from Brazil, the other most likely winner. And the one that wasn't a surprise, but a confirmation, I suppose, was the one non-neon film. It's from Willa. It's the voice of Hind Rajab. It's submitted by Tunisia, but it is set in Israel and Palestine.
Mm.
And yeah, so there were a number of Israeli Palestinian films that were in the mix this year in this category. And so that is the one that made it in. So that's not really a surprise, but it does mean that No Other Choice did not get in. No Other Choice is from Park Chan-wook, who is one of the top Korean directors for films like Old Boy, which I hate, by the way, but I love his other films that I've seen, The Handmaiden, and Decision to Leave, and now No Other Choice. It's about a guy whose career is being replaced by automated machines. And the lengths he goes to keep himself employed because the world runs on money.
Right.
And so it's a tragic comedy for sure. And but just I think most people who see it absolutely love it. And there's now a reputation that Park Chan Wook is always ignored by the Academy. He's never been nominated. And that's just unjust and unfair. And I will not stand for it, except I have no choice but to stand for it. I have no other choice.
The Handmaiden is on my to watch list. So I think you were on the Discord talking about it, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I think you said it falls into the
Perfect
potential
film.
perfect film zone.
Although I do also very much enjoy it. I find it very engrossing. The
Perfect.
Handmaiden. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and this one, the other, it was just an accident. Was thought that was the Cannes winner, and this is the first time in years that the Cannes winner hasn't been nominated for Best Picture, and Jafar Panahi missed for Best Director, and a lot of people are a bit surprised about that, especially with everything going on in Iran and with his persecution, and also that it didn't get more noise because it's a fun but serious movie about people being tortured by the Iranian government,
Okay.
and them taking their revenge.
All right. Complex topic.
Yeah, so it got 2 nominations in the end for international and original screenplay, which if it were going to get to any 2, obviously it'd be those. And I'll say this, it's a big year for international films still. We were a bit worried because the US Guild nominations were ignoring international films because apparently they don't like subtitles. But there's actually a record where there's the first year with 4 non-English language performances, primarily non-English languages performances because they all speak a little. 3 from Sentimental Value because, of course, Dakota Fanning speaks English in that film. Or Elle Fanning, sorry, wrong Fanning speaks English in that film, and then Wagner Moura from The Secret Agent. So I'll say Surat was expected to do better the Spanish film, but it is the first all-woman sound team nominated for an Oscar. It definitely deserves a sound nomination. And Sentimental Value. Yeah, so the European Film Awards, their biggest awardees were Sentimental Value, which swept with 6 wins, and Surat, which got 5 wins. So I mean, I think Sentimental Value, this is their category to lose, unless
Right.
never underestimate Brazil. But
Should I put Surat on my radar?
I yeah, so that one, I have complicated feelings about that because the first part of the movie, you think you're getting something different than what you get in the back half.
Okay.
There is a drastic change in tone.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it is one that is very popular. Yeah. It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's bubbled up into, it's sort of broken through a little bit in my
I would say definitely
zone.
Put No Other Choice on the list. I have no qualms about telling you to do that.
Okay.
And so you mentioned Rental Family before. I'll say this is the first time in 20 years that Searchlight Pictures failed to receive a single nomination.
Wow.
And there are 3 big films that were at some points thought to be contenders were Rental Family, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Is This Thing On, which is just coming out in theaters here like next week. And The Testament of Anne Lee, which is the follow-up from the same team as The Brutalist last year, but this one swapped and who was the director this time. And yeah, The Testament of Anne Lee, Amanda Seyfried was thought to get a nomination for that, but that didn't end up happening. Very, very packed year.
Okay.
So pour one out for Searchlight Pictures, and everyone go watch those films anyway. Especially Rental Family is a really easy watch.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it has a nice bow on the end. It's tied up nicely, and just what a lovely project for. Why am I blanking the actor's name?
Brendan Fraser.
Thank you, Brendan Fraser. Lovely project for him, and just really
Fraser,
lovely to lovely to see him on screen and just inhabiting his role so holistically. It just really resonated, and it was just a fun movie. So yeah.
In another year, he would have gotten a Best Actor nomination for that.
Agreed.
Yeah. And this is also the first Benoit Blanc mystery movie. Wake Up Dead Man is the first one not to receive a screenplay nomination. It also blanked this time. So
I'll say I didn't finish it.
Oh, it was I the Glass Onion one, the second one, that was my least favorite by far. This one, I quite liked this one. I thought it was very different in tone from the first one, but I liked it as much.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying much more.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There. That's just me.
Let's say another record. This is the third time in Academy Awards history that all 5 Best Director nominees are also nominated for writing their films. So this is a growing trend because the previous 2 times were in 2022 and 2024.
Got it.
This is a recent phenomenon. And of course, we have to shout out, we can't not shout out Diane Warren, now 17
Oh,
noms.
is this the the
Yes,
person?
in the
Yes.
song category. She's written, if you don't know who Diane Warren is, just Google her and you definitely know, like, don't want to miss a thing. So many songs from her. But this year's song is Dear Me, sung by Kesha, and it comes from a documentary about her life and about her quest for an Oscar. So it's very meta nomination.
That's hilarious.
Very appropriate. I have to say the documentary though is actually quite good. It's like better than most documentaries of this type. I'm not the only one saying this. This is people tend to agree. It does show some raw vulnerability on her side. She's a very interesting person who's led a complex life, and it does get into all of that. So I do recommend Diane Warren Relentless, the documentary. But she's almost certainly going to lose to K-pop Demon Hunters for Golden, or if
Yeah.
not, the Sinners for I Lied to You. So that means when that happens, sorry, Diane, I'm already predicting it. That means that she will have the record for the most nominations without winning.
Amazing. That is a kind of a, I don't know. It's kind of strangely, you're winning for losing in a weird way. So anyway,
I mean, she at this point she's famous for not winning
exactly.
Oscars. So
That's what
I
I'm
know
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, in the doc she makes clear she really does want. She's gotten an honorary Oscar. We've
She
mentioned that
does want to
before,
win. Yeah.
but she does really want to win, and she obviously has a lot of friends in the Academy because we know, like, when we're tracking what movies are going to get nominated, one of the things that we do is we look at what movies are releasing this year with Diane Warren songs.
Funny. She is a force. All right.
Yeah, this is her 9th consecutive nomination for Best Original Song. As I said, 17 overall. And this is the most consecutive nominations amongst anyone alive, breaking her
Wow.
tie with John Williams, who was
Oh, wow.
nominated 8 consecutive years for score.
Got it.
And yeah, I'm not going to shout out anything about animation because for me, it was completely what was expected. There's K-pop Demon Hunters, of course. There's the 2 bigger movies, Zootopia 2 and Elio from the big studios. Yeah, and the other 2 are my 2 favorites. Although I have to say K-pop Demon Hunters better than you might expect. I thought it's a really solid movie with a good message. But my 2 favorites are, of course, the quirky French language ones. Arco, which is actually, it's produced by Natalie Portman, and so they have the version showing in the US. I haven't gotten to watch this version yet, but it's US dubs, or all English language dubs. So Natalie Portman plays one of the characters, and Mark Ruffalo plays the father, and so it's a great cast for Arco, about a time traveling kid who makes friends with another kid, and then the other one is little Amelie, or the character of Rain, which is from the perspective of, I would say, she's neurodivergent. I would say autistic child who is a Belgian girl raised in Japan, and about the complications of that. But I love both of those films. Unlikely to win, but just glad to shout them out. And the doc side, there were some surprises here, but it was also a very packed category this year. The Perfect Neighbor might end up winning. That's a Netflix kind of true crime documentary. That's one of the ones I have already watched, and it is an engrossing watch, but it's an unusual one for the Oscars. And there is the director of that, Gita Gandbir, is also the director of one of the nominees for documentary short this year, The Devil is Busy. So this is the second time it happened. It's last happened in 2024. And pour one out for the docs who might have been nominated but were snubbed. 2,000 Meters to Andriivka, which is from the Ukrainian side of the war. Cover Up, which is about propaganda. And My Undesirable Friends Part 1, Last Air in Moscow, which is a 5.5-hour documentary. I have watched it. about looking at the fall of free speech in Russia from the perspective of the last opposition news media. So obviously, yeah, people want to talk about the world conflicts, and documentaries are a place to do it. I'm going to have documentary editor Rebecca June back again this year to walk
Great.
us through all of that, because this is always my weakest category.
Got it.
But let's take a quick look at the acting categories to close. Starting with lead actor, we have Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme, most likely to win. Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. Um, it's quasi surprise, not really. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, and that means that Joel Edgerton missed out for Train Dreams. Jesse Plemons missed out for Begonia, and I really wanted, but knew it was no chance, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice. Most people know him as the front man in Squid Game, and that's so me. I'm most people, most non-Korean people, I'll say. And his acting in this was a revelation for me. Just his comedy genius mixed with him being able to carry the deep, heavy emotions aspect of that film as well. So, No Other Choice. I can't recommend it enough.
Cool.
But what do you think of the lineup?
Ethan Hawke was a surprise. Don't know anything about Blue Moon. And also surprised by Wagner Moura with Chalamet, DiCaprio, and Michael B. Jordan. Right, that felt
Expected.
like that's what's going on. Who I want to get it, I don't know, and I don't know who's going to get it. There's no way I'm going to predict this one. It's tough, but it would be pretty awesome if Michael B. Jordan were able to pick it up because of the complexity of the dual role thing. That performance and that kind of work that an actor does for that, I think is significant. And I think it's pretty worthy. So,
yeah. I'll just say Blue Moon, since we didn't mention it, that is about, he plays Lorenz Hart, as in Hart and Hart and Rogers and Hart, sorry. Yeah. And Hammerstein is also in this, and it's about this moment. It's mostly like, it plays like a play, it's mostly in one setting. And it's about this moment where he is no longer working with his longtime partner, who's moving on to someone who's less difficult, and he's kind of coping with it and talking to people, and he's very charming and good, and it also got nominated for writing. But yeah,
ooh,
it's definitely carried by love of Ethan Hawke.
right. One other note about DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
Was it as much as a performance? Like, I don't know. He was kind of playing his shtick. He was kind of playing his like Wolf of Wall Street
Frazzle.
shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, does it have the nuance of, and again, I can't comment because I haven't seen Chalamet's performance, but compared to Michael B. Jordan and again, Wagner Moura is excellent, but I haven't seen that. So, I could see him not getting it for this one.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Michael B. Jordan, he is the second person to get an Oscar nomination for portraying twins. Nicolas Cage was the first in adaptation, and he is the seventh person nominated for playing multiple roles in one film. So there are other multiple role films that I actually would have loved to have seen on here, but I knew they wouldn't be. That would be Dylan O'Brien for Twinless, and Robert Pattinson from Mickey 17. People forget about that, but that was incredible, his double performance.
Right.
It was a great year for double performances.
Interesting.
Okay, lead actress Jessie Buckley is likely to take it home for Hamnet. The Rose Byrne was also predicted heavily for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Renata Reinsva for Sentimental Value and Emma Stone for Begonia are not surprises. Kate Hudson on the surface looks like the biggest surprise for Song Song Blue, which is about her and Hugh Jackman, and they are like cover musicians. That's a movie I'm halfway through. I haven't finished it yet, but she was campaigned heavily for that. She sings, she does the whole thing. It's very Kate Hudson of her. This is her first nomination since what's it called? Almost Famous.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that.
But yeah, there are two films in here not nominated for anything else. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, and obviously that Song Sung Blue. And it means that people were shocked that Chase Infinity missed for One Battle After
Right.
Another.
Yeah.
Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good.
Yeah, for actor and best picture and, you know, some of the other higher profiles, it seemed to make a lot of sense. And then this year for best actress, I'm like, there's actors I don't know here or movies I really haven't heard of. So it's an interesting basket for lead actress.
Why? I talked about If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You also in the Leiden Film Festival
Yeah.
episode.
Yep. It's
So I
on my
did,
watch list to
yeah,
eventually watch, but another
yeah,
hard parent film, right?
yeah. It is another hard parent film for sure.
Yeah.
That one was in the middle of my rankings for the year, but it's a very good film, and she gives a great performance. But yeah, of this list, I suppose I am behind Jessie Buckley being the winner of this. That makes sense to me. Supporting actress. Now, the supporting categories are where there's really some competition going on. So the nominees for supporting actress are Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Inga Ibsdottir Lilias for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, Wunmi Musaku for Sinners, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. And I would say the strongest, the precursors so far have gone to Amy Madigan for Weapons and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. I would say Inga Ibsdottir Lilias she's like, she and Elle Fanning could end up splitting the votes, but I think that actually anyone who wants to vote for that film is going to vote for Lilias because she is such the standout of it.
Right.
The surprise, I suppose.
Yeah, the supporting actress is a much more interesting from a watcher standpoint than was the actress in some ways. So
Yeah, it's there's a real race there. There's a real race
yes,
there.
exactly.
Although people are upset that Odessa Azion from Marty Supreme missed and Ariana Grande from Wicked for Good, and yeah, they were both very worthy performances. But it is what it is. Yay, I'm really happy to see Amy Madigan in here. It became clear at some point that was going to happen. Glad that Weapons is an Oscar nominated film.
Right.
This is Madigan's second nomination, 40 years after her first nomination for Twice in a Lifetime. And I just have to say that also, I don't think, I mean, I don't have the stats on this, but I don't think the villains are often nominated like this, you know, where she kind of
Right.
plays a monster.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, literally. Yeah.
Although we'll talk about literally a monster in the next category, which is supporting actor, where the nominees are Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn, both for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value.
This is
And
another tough category
it's a
this year.
tough, yeah. Jacob Elordi has won at least one precursor, very worthy performance. But although I kind of think it's probably between Benicio del Toro, unless he and Sean Penn split it again, and Stellan Skarsgård. Going into the season, I said to you, Stellan Skarsgård was going to win this award. We'll see. We'll see.
It's a tough one.
His first Oscar nomination.
Oh, that's really interesting. And so there's merit there. Sean Penn's performance in One Battle is extraordinary, no question. But then Delroy Lindo, like you're like, oh my God, he's such a journeyman actor. He's just been in so many things. And I know people were talking about his performance in Five Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just been such a fixture and a wonderful, wonderful actor. And I'd love to see him see it. Jacob Elordi, I don't know very well, but then I loved Benicio del Toro in One Battle, but he said it was such a minor. Yeah, it totally did. But it's such a kind of a minor thing, and he's kind of playing himself in a way.
But here's the thing: is like, so the supporting categories are famous for category fraud. Like Stellan Skarsgård is only in this film 4 minutes less than lead actress Renata Reinsva. Like if I look at that movie, I'm like, Stellan Skarsgård is a lead of this movie, but here he is in supporting. So.
It's so strange, yeah. Against
Jacob
other
Elordi
people
also, yeah,
right, yeah. I mean, here he is doing a best actor performance against true, like Delroy Lindo as a supporter, right?
Right.
It's clear. So
right.
anyway,
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Again, yeah, more interesting on the supporting side than the main
Mm-hmm.
side. So
Mm-hmm. And there were some misses in this category too. Like Paul Mescal for Hamnet was a
mm-hmm.
surprise miss. Miles Caton for Sinners, and it was interesting. You talked about the generational thing, and here we see Lindo gets it, Caton's out, and it's sort of like, wait your turn. This is your first movie. Same with Chase Infinity in the actress race.
Right.
Yeah, and Jack O'Connell for Sinners might have been in the conversation in other years. Adam Sandler was definitely in the conversation for Jay Kelly, but Jay Kelly just didn't have the legs. You saw it too, you said?
Yeah. It was
Yeah, me
fine,
too.
and we
Yeah.
watched it at home, and it was like
Mhm.
one of our Friday night watches, and I was like, okay, it was nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing, but it wasn't. I don't have a problem that it's not listed in the Oscars. I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
I went to the movies to see it, and it was because of like just a comedy of errors of events. Like I ended up going with a friend who really instead wanted to go see Wicked for Good with me, but for various reasons we ended up going to see Jay Kelly instead. And she and we ended up going to the theater in town that does not have the best screen and everything. And during the whole movie I could just feel her looking at me like, why are we at this one and not Wicked? Oh
Funny.
man. Oh, but yeah. So that's the any final thoughts on the acting nominations overall, or any of the nominations overall?
Yeah, just that interesting that the supporting is more
Mhm.
interesting in a lot of ways than the leads. So, but there are at least with with all of them, there's some interesting races to watch, and there's generational things going on, like this idea that is this the last chance for a particular actor to get something,
Mhm.
or is this the first chance that is going to be a miss until they get later on, in their young
Mhm.
career? I know that there's like a weird little thing where you can be real hot in the young part of your career, and then you
Right.
can do great stuff in the middle, but no
Mhm.
Oscars until you get later. And so it is an interesting topography this year, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Yeah, this was definitely, I think this was one of the most surprising batches of Oscar nominations. It
Yeah.
was genuinely fun to watch live. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm very excited to see how this plays out and excited to talk about all this. The Oscars air themselves on March 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. In the US, that'll be again on ABC or Hulu. They have it through 2028, when it's after that's going to switch to YouTube. So for now, though, international viewers like myself, you'll just need to check their website to see where it is airing in your country, in what ungodly hour of the night.
Yeah, and what weirdness that you have to contort your your viewing and
Right.
subscription habits to make it work. Yeah, I
Right.
really, whatever, YouTube is such a beast in terms of
Mhm.
the streaming world and content world, but in terms of just making it simply available for people,
Yes.
and if you want to talk about getting people enrolled in the idea of Oscars, and you want to
Mhm.
reach generationally, you want to open up the new markets, you gotta make it available for people to watch without
Right.
going through, oh, I have to register on my thing to get my
Uh-huh.
local station cable thing. It's just like, oh my God, it's so infuriating.
Yeah. Because
And so,
Hulu, there was some big glitchiness with Hulu last year, so hopefully they've worked their shit out this year.
yeah, right. So anyway, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So for the rest of this series, I'm still figuring out the order of things, exactly, still planning when the recordings will be. But the plan is there's going to be at first one episode per week. There's 7 weeks this year. Woohoo! Between nominations and the awards airing.
A
So it's
little
going to
breathing room.
be one per week at first, and then two as we get closer. So the next one is going to be the three shorts categories with Brandon from Short Stick Podcast. So it's a podcast specialized in shorts. And
Great.
yeah, that was an easy one to line up because I was like, he's already watched everything. So let's get that one going. Then I think the next one is going to be, we've already planned it. Lisa, our very own Lisa, aka Red
Yay.
Zippy. She is going to be joining me to talk about production design, costumes, and hair and makeup. And after that, there will be 7 more, not necessarily in this order, but just to let you know how it's going to break down. I've broken out international animation and doc features. Each get their own shorter episode this year. Just made more sense like that. There's going to be the music episode with Mark from Nevermind the Music. There's going to be an episode that's dedicated to cinematography, VFX, editing, and sound together with someone who works in the industry. There's going to be the 4 acting categories together with casting is going to be one of the last ones. And one of the other last ones is directing with the 2 screenplay categories. And then finally, after the ceremony, you and I will get back together to react to the ceremony and do our best picture rankings.
Looking forward to it.
So check the show notes for more information about all of that and links to the Oscar-nominated films we've already covered in the public feed. That would be Sinners, One Battle After Another, Frankenstein, and Weapons. And also in my shorts for Lorehounds episode, I covered 5 of the nominated shorts: Two People Exchanging Saliva, Jane Austen's period drama, The Singer's Retirement Plan, and The Girl Who Cried Pearls. So you can check that out as well. Subscribers, you have access to that Leiden International Film Festival that I mentioned, where we talked about sentimental value. If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You, and animation nominee Arco. And also, yeah, we've talked about some more of these films as I've watched them in a bunch of our Second Breakfast episodes. So you have a lot to dig through if you're not through our back catalog. I am also going to do 2 extra solo eps 1 week before the Spirits, which the Spirits ceremony is February 15th. The Monday before that, I'll do an episode breaking down the categories and key races there. And then a week later, 1 week before the BAFTAs, whose ceremony is February 22nd. And we're also going to be doing more live watch threads for these and for the Actor Awards March 1st on Discord. So check out our Discord for that. And yeah, we do have an awards season channel for all the discussions and tips on finding the films and those award ceremony live chats and all that. So we'll see you there. Or send your feedback to lorehounds at thelorehounds.com. And what else is going on the main feed, David?
John and I was just kind of in awe of your coverage plans. It's an incredible amount of work, but I know it's a passion project for you. So I think it's just a great addition to our coverage and our lineup for Lorehounds in general. Really, really rounds us out in a lot of ways. So kudos, and I'm excited to hear all the voices that you're bringing in for all the different aspects of it.
Yeah.
On the other Lorehound stuff, John and I are doing vibes checks on the pit. We're not doing a deep analytical things, but we're doing more of a reaction. And we've got Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That is our big one right now. And we are doing, there's a 3 episode break across 2 different podcasts. So make sure that you're subscribed to Properly Howard Movie Review. Go to the link in the show notes and make sure or just search Properly Howard, because on Anthony's feed, he's going to have the feedback, which is on Fridays, him and Steve mostly, and then the instant takes or the instant reactions on Sunday nights, which are a lot of fun. And then we do joint coverage, and we put that podcast out on both our main feed and on Anthony's feed for the deep dives. And I know this is a show, a series of books that is very close to your heart as well, Elysia. So I really enjoyed the first episode, and I'm really looking forward to episode 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's going to be there have been and are going to continue to be some one-off episodes. Check out the recently released MCU versus DCU preview of
fun.
2026 with Jean and I. Yeah, there's also a special VFX interview with Lee Romero coming out, I think, on Monday, I think. There's going to be a one-shot for Wonder Man. Wonder Man itself releases the 27th. We'll see. We're still scheduling when we'll cover it.
Is that a drop? Is that a season drop?
Yeah, it's a binge drop, unfortunately, but we're super excited for it. It looks so good with the marketing. Cool. It looks so funny, parody of making these types of superhero films. And Marilyn, Jean, and I are going to do Percy Jackson one shot as well. Excellent. And Jean, Riley, and I are going to get back together to do the Bone Temple, the new 28 Years Later movie.
Awesome. We've got a busy slate.
Yeah. What about our affiliates?
What is going on with our affiliates? I believe that Radioactive Ramblers are still covering Fallout when and as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony is on the pit. I was actually talking with Marilyn about Rings and Rituals.
Knights of the Seven Kingdoms.
Sorry, what did I say?
The pit.
The pit. Oh, sorry. I was like looking at
your
the
brain's
outline.
on the pit. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. My brain's cross-wired here a little bit. But I was talking with Marilyn a little bit on the side about what she could do with the Rings and Rituals and maybe be more generalized. But anyway,
shadows on the mic.
Oh, you got your cat.
You heard that purring, that loud purring.
Nice. Means they're happy.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess that's it. Do you want to shout out our? Let's see. Wait, let me set the mood. We've got from the jazz folder, Midnight Muse.
Oh, it's been a while since we've done this.
I still do this. Ooh, all right. Our Discord server boosters are Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena Ajalea, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Perdition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. And we just want to thank all of our listeners. Thank you for spending your time with us. Please share this episode with anyone else you think wants to know more about the Oscars. And if you liked it and you want to help us out, leave a nice rating and review wherever you're listening. And David, do you want to shout out our highest tier of subscribers, the Lore Masters?
So Martian, Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Garrett C, Andra B, Kwong Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally B, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Holly S, Il Mariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica A, Red Zippy, TCS, Dopamini, Catch It, Eleanor, Ms. Tennant, AC Wilson, Eli W, Cassie K, Jumbaruni, Katilia, Josh Liu, Paint in PDX, Corey G, and forever last, never least, Adrian. Thank you all so very much for your ongoing support. We couldn't do it without you.
And thank you, David, for joining me for this discussion. Thank you, everyone at home, for listening along. We look forward to talking more Oscars as the season continues, more films as the season continues. That's what it's really about. It's about the films, not the awards. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.